All right, the regular meeting of the Greensboro Minimum Housing Commission is now being recorded for all staff members, February 11th, 2021. And it is on Facebook Live, Mr. Chairman.
Chair Isikoff? Chair Isikoff, you're muted.
Let me see, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Oh, welcome. My apologies on the technical difficulties. Welcome, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. This is the February meeting of the Greensboro Minimum Housing Standard Commission meeting. We are concerned with everything above the ground. We are concerned with the status of structures on real property and the violations that housing inspectors have found at those properties. And when you come before us, we're looking for a concrete plan. We're looking for a way that you're going to fix the violations that the inspector has found. We'll go through a few administrative items before we get to the cases, and then we'll go through the cases and we'll swear you in as your case is called. Preliminarily, commissioners' minutes should have been shared with y'all. Are there any motions regarding minutes from last month's meeting?
Chair Isikoff, before we do that, we need to note some absences today, and we do have a newly appointed. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said yes, please.
We have a newly appointed commissioner. His name is Mr. Scott, and we do have several absences today, so he will be participating. Commissioner Scott, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. I guess my name is Franklin Scott, and I'm just glad to be able to serve the people of Greensboro.
And Mr. Scott, I wanted to welcome you. Thank you very much for participating with the commission. Would you like to tell the commission and the public a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a proud father, as well as a University of Tennessee alum that I'm very proud of as a student athlete there as well. And have been in some form of assisting or serving in several different capacities, and just excited about this opportunity here.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being here. Welcome to the commission. As always, let us know if you have any questions. Moving into approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, those have been circulated among the commissioners. Are there any motions on the floor about that?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from last month's meeting and move forward.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote to vote on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes.
And because you weren't present, Mr. Scott, I don't know that you've had an opportunity to see the minutes. So you can, as we call all the cases, but for the purposes of the minutes, we still do have a quorum.
Okay.
So that motion passes unanimously and the minutes are approved. Next up, I'd like to ask if city staff has any changes to today's agenda.
Ms. Holt?
We do not have any changes to the cases, and there was the previous closed session that was released as public.
Mm-hmm.
I emailed those minutes out probably about an hour or so ago, about 2 hours ago. And so I didn't know if we wanted to go ahead and approve those now or how y'all wanted to proceed.
Has the commission had an opportunity to see those minutes?
Not yet. I would
Oh.
like to request that we wait until we have a chance to read them.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we can add
And
them. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've seen them, but I think just so everyone has a chance to review them, could we put that on next month's agenda?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And one more administrative thing before we begin. I want to introduce one of our newer attorneys. His name is Tony Baker. He began working for the city this past September, and we've been redistributing some things amongst our office, and he will be taking over the community improvement, formerly known as Code Compliance Division, which includes the Minimum Housing Commission. I am still working for the city. I will serve as backup. Tony, would you like to say anything?
Thanks very much. Happy to be here. Looking forward to working with the commission. Just background, I have over 15 years of municipal law experience and about 10 more years of private practice. So hopefully that experience will help with the commission, but very much look forward to working with commission and with staff. And thank you for the introduction, Jasmine.
Thank you, Tony. We look forward to working with you. Are there any further changes or additions or deletions from the agenda?
I have nothing.
Seeing none, we'll move forward. We're going to start with swearing in any city staff that plan to testify.
Hello, good afternoon. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matters will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. And usually we would swear in the public right now as well, but given that this is a Zoom meeting, we're going to do that on a case-by-case basis, just so it's easier for the recording and for all of that. If anyone has any cell phones, computers, things that are going to go off, please turn those on silent. Especially with a Zoom meeting, we want to make sure we have clear communication. That being said, we'll move to our continued cases. Our first case on the docket is 1606 Gracewood Drive.
And for 1606 Gracewood Drive, the date of initial inspection was October 15th, 2017. The hearing was held February 18th, 2020. The order was issued on February 18th, 2020 and expired March 21st of 20. The property did have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is not a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is seeking an order to demolish as the repair costs are 67% of the tax value.
Thank you.
And we have a representative, I believe, from Royal Crest Builders with us.
Yes, that is me. Thank you, everybody, for having me. I can give you a little bit of an update on the property.
And we want to have you state your full name and address for the record and also get you sworn in first.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry.
Please state your name for the record.
Adam Kensky.
Would you spell your last name?
Sure. Kensky.
Okay, thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Oh.
Sir, you have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you consent to this virtual meeting?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate everybody having me today. This house is absolutely an eyesore as it stands right now. But rest assured, we are not to blame for current condition of the property. As you described briefly in your update on the file, it sounds like it's been an open file with you since 2017. Our company just purchased the home out of foreclosure right around first of the year. I want to say our closing was like December 31st or some date around that time. When we first saw the property, we thought, oh man, this thing it needs a lot of work. You can tell a prior owner had plans to turn their ranch home into a brand 2-story home. And I guess they started the process however many years ago, and for whatever reason, just stopped halfway through. So we have purchased a home with the intention of giving the property everything that it needs to be beautiful again. We are a real estate investment company. We've been in business since 2004, and we've purchased foreclosures, remodeled them, and resold them for the better part of 17 years. And our intention, of course, is to go in and give this home everything it needs. Obviously, we're also going to do it properly. We've already pulled our building permit. All the subcontractors that need permits will pull out the proper permits for electrical and plumbing and HVAC and whatnot. I just got out of a meeting this morning to get an update, and we are full steam ahead with the remodel. I know our building permit has been pulled. I believe, weather pending, that the new house wrap was going to be going on today. I know one of the eyesores of the property was that they had wrapped the exterior but never put siding on it. And over the years, I think the weather has kind of, as you can see from the video, kind of torn away a lot of the wrap. So weather pending today, hopefully there's already new wrap on the home. If not, I'm sure it'll be on as soon as weather allows. We do have plans to do new electrical, new plumbing. We're going to paint the brick the same color as the siding. So first level is brick. We'll paint that brick. The upper level is going to have new hardy plank siding on it. We'll paint everything to be a similar color. So we believe by the time that we're done, this home will have beautiful curb appeal. We feel that the project will probably take us 60 to 90 days to complete. So of course we would ask you if possible to maybe put a stay on any continuing fines and penalties, just to give us time to, get this home done. You can see it when it's finished and know that, house no longer is in violation.
And do you have a contractor that you're working with right now?
We actually are our own contractor. Our company, Royal Crest Builders, is a GC.
Okay.
We actually build homes throughout the triad. And we figured since this project is so big that we would take title to it in our GC company so that we can basically treat it like new construction. Because we feel by the time that we're done, it really will look like new construction. So we oversee all of our own subs with like the framers and the electricians and the plumbers and HVAC and final, siding and everything like that.
What's your ultimate intention for this property once it's fixed up?
It'll be on the market for resale.
Okay.
Yeah, everything that we do is for resale purposes.
So you're not doing a rental?
Correct.
Okay.
And so I totally understand why this house is on your guys' radar. The old owner left it in just really ugly. I mean, I'm sure neighbors have complained, and I know that from my recent conversations with Michael, that there were a lot of, I guess, past due fines that have kind of accrued from the old owner. That I guess if they're going to let the house go into foreclosure, I kind of see why they probably didn't bother with fines either. But rest assured, now that we're involved with this home, we're the new homeowners, we have the desire and ability to make it right.
And I see from our last meeting in July, it looked like back then there were some family issues with the owners, lack of money, and it looks like it was pre-foreclosure. Is that right?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Oh, yes. I think you got it in pre-foreclosure.
We actually, we got it at the foreclosure auction at the courthouse. The old owner was already long gone, so we had no interaction with them. So unfortunately, the only history we have is what we can piece together from the public record and just looking at the house. There was no one there to kind of give us any details on their hardship.
And so you're looking at about a 3 to 4 month time frame for this?
We really feel, I mean, weather permitting and availability of materials permitting, that we can have it done in under 90 days.
Okay.
60 to 90 is our target. With COVID, the one thing that we've noticed in our line of work is that the availability of some materials has been a little more challenging. Siding is one of those materials, whereas, it used to be, you'd have a 1 or 2 week lead time, you call up your siding contractor and they could have siding for you in a week or two. Some kinds of siding can take, 4 to 6 weeks to get. So we're already in the process now of ordering siding that we're going to need for the home. So assuming that our contractor can get us the siding in a reasonable amount of time, we feel everything else will fall in line and on schedule for a 90-day turn.
Mr. Kensky, did your company get the violations list yet and the city's official information about this property?
We have received several notices in the mail. I believe the notices I have are more high level, just that we have compliance issues. I can go back through my emails. It's possible Michael already sent me that detailed list of the actual violations, but I don't have it in front of me.
And that's something we can get to you.
Okay.
Has your company been through this process before by any chance?
Yes, not with the city of Greensboro. We've had numerous homes that have needed this much work. We've actually remodeled homes that needed more than this. We've had houses that we've purchased that have had various code compliance issues in the past with whichever municipality the house was located in. I think this is my first time in front of this committee, but we have had houses in the past that had the municipality kind of keeping an eye on things and wanting to be updated to make sure that, the finished product was going to, adhere to standards and no longer be in any violation.
And that's
Will,
basically.
I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. So how long have y'all known that this was out of compliance and why haven't y'all fixed it yet?
We didn't know it was out of compliance until after we bought it. Nothing came up in our title search with our attorney. But we purchased a home with the intention of remodeling it. And then we received, I can't remember if it was a phone call first or a letter in the mail first, but a few weeks after we owned it, we got our first correspondence from you guys saying, by the way, you guys are in violation. And that was the first.
Okay, how long have you owned it?
Right around the first of the year. It's about a month.
Okay.
Give or take.
All right, so ain't it like against the realtor's code? Yeah, like ain't the realtor supposed to tell you that up front before you buy something?
It wasn't on the market with a realtor. It was a foreclosure at the courthouse.
Commissioners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we asked our attorney, and we even said, like, hey, how come your title search didn't turn up any city of Greensboro compliance issues or liens or what have you? And he said, I mean, he even went and double checked his work after I brought this to his attention, and he said, I show no record of it. So, looking at the house, we completely understand why there are violations. We just appreciate the opportunity to let you know that we are new owners. We have the ability and desire to make it beautiful. And we just ask if you could, your patience, give us about 60 to 90 days to show you what it's going to be.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you were put in that position. Unfortunately, we do see where this is not disclosed in closing. Since this is a potential lien on the property, it should have been something brought up in the closing documents. But I appreciate that you're here trying to fix it.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Chief Building Inspector Don Sheffield has his hand risen.
Oh, yes, Mr. Sheffield.
I'd like to bring up the fact that this is the one that the young lady was crying at last year. I believe all the old commissioners will remember that. And she had a breakdown. But this one, he does have a building permit, and as soon as he gets in compliance with his building permit, all the violations will be gone on this. Most of the violations are because they started working and they just stopped.
And Mr. Sheffield, thank you for reminding us. I do remember that hearing, which was colorful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're no longer married.
Commissioners, Any comments or questions on this?
I'm concerned that we heard from someone last month, and then hearing now that that it appears that people are buying property without having a way to know that there have been violations already. And I don't know if there's something that Troy and his staff can do to keep that from happening. I think it's just happening too often.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree with that. My understanding is these proceedings, the end result is a lien on real property. Is that something that's on file at the start of a case?
No, so the civil penalties will never become a lien on a piece of property, only if the structure is actually demolished, or if the structure is repaired, then the cost thereof would become a lien on the property. The only advance notice, aside from the city ordinance that requires one person selling a property to another person must give that notice at closing. If they fail to do so, of course, they create themselves a civil problem where they can hold the other one accountable. But if at some point in time during the enforcement process, we would have to request the city attorney's office to file list pendings for all open housing cases that may pass a certain threshold, and that would certainly put any closing attorney on notice that a legal action's pending.
Well, I think anything that we can do, Troy, that would make it easier for the folks who are buying up properties and fixing them, that we all want to see happen. Anything that we could do to stop them from having this kind of surprise once they own the property would be wonderful.
And we'll get with,
I was going to say, it would save you a lot of trouble and us too.
and we'll get with the city attorney's office to see what the rules are in the statute for the use of list pendings, as well as try to figure out how else we could. All of our housing cases, active cases, are available online through the public portal. We do get a lot of public information requests from title search companies. So in those public information requests, we're constantly sharing cases, because they will consistently ask, do we have open code cases? Do we have pending violations? So it appears that some title companies do their due diligence, and some title companies or closing attorneys do not do their due diligence. And unfortunately, because there's a city ordinance that allows the new purchaser to hold the seller accountable, because the city ordinance does require that they disclose that at closing.
Okay.
I know there was a similar issue that was raised recently in our legislature about construction cases where someone, oh, yes?
Nobody had anything.
In construction cases where a construction contractor has 120 days from date of last performed to file a lien, and there's this idea of a hidden lien that could come up in the future. I'm not sure what notice can be given. Do you have any insight on that?
Who's your question directed at?
Hello? Tony,
Yes.
you can chime in. I'm actually having computer difficulties right now. I'm on my cell phone and I need to restart my computer, so I can't pull up what I'm trying to pull up. Tony, you're welcome to chime in. I just wanted to make sure everyone could hear me on the phone so that I could restart my computer.
Sure. So I guess
Okay.
what we were getting at is Carolyn's point, that is there a way we can give better notice to people who buy properties while they're in proceedings with us that this is happening.
So off the cuff, not having looked at the lis pendens statute in quite a while, in theory, yes, you could file a lis pendens on every open case that you have. I would caution the commission that you would likely have far more lis pendens filed than actually go to lien, and then you have to clear up those lis pendens if the case is dismissed. I would emphasize what Troy said, in that the closing attorney, and especially in a case like this, where it should be fairly obvious that there's unfinished construction and likely good possibility that there are going to be outstanding violations. And I hate to throw another attorney under the bus, but it's a very easy phone call for any closing attorney or potential buyer to contact the city office to find out, is there a pending case? Are there pending violations? Is it possible that there is an impending lien? From the logistics point of view, that one phone call is a much more streamlined manner than having to file lis pendens on every open case and then having to clean up those lis pendens if the case is dismissed. So I think I would strongly encourage, if the commission has the ability, but I would strongly encourage some type of public education for closing attorneys and or realtors to make sure they make that one simple call to the city to find out if there are any pending violations. And again, any home that's in foreclosure, that should be a first stop for a closing attorney, because it is very likely that there are going to be some type of violations for a house going through foreclosure, for a house that has sat vacant for any period of time. I think that's a red flag for the closing attorney.
I got a quick question for city staff, I guess, Troy. Don't y'all post on the door that this property is, condemned or whatever?
There's a posting on the door, and there's a reposting every 30 days.
Okay. Quick question for Royal Crest Builders. Did you all go visit this site before you bought it?
We did, yes.
Did you see that posting on the door?
Not that I recollect.
So y'all didn't see the posting on the door? That's what you're saying?
I did not, correct.
Okay.
I can't promise you there was or wasn't one. It's
Okay.
possible if it got posted that, weather blew, it got blown away or something. I don't want to say for sure, but, when we look at a house like that, we know that we're going to make it look nice. And we know that even if there were violations out there, that all those violations will be addressed during the remodel that we do. So by the time the home is done, it won't have any violations. So, that's why we didn't think, oh, let's just call the city and ask to be sure, because we knew, hey, this house is gonna be nice when we're done.
So y'all went to go look at a house that was vacant, that was not fully built, and an eyesore to the community. You never thought for a second that perhaps you might have an issue with city ordinances or anything like that. That's what you're saying?
Correct. We do 50 of these a year, and we've got a lot that have been really as eyesore as this, that didn't have the violations, wasn't on a city, compliance list.
You do 50 in Greensboro a year? 50
throughout the triad. We do 40 to 50 remodels, and we build new construction as well on top of that throughout the triad,
Okay.
Greensboro, Winston, High Point, Burlington.
So to answer, I guess to address Carolyn's issue, honestly, Carolyn, if city staff is posting that a property is condemned, then I feel like it's one of those situations where the buyer, builder, realtor, lawyer, whoever goes out there to check on it, it's their due diligence to do that. Only saying that we've already burdened the city staff with a lot already. So at a certain point, it is kind of what it is. And, sorry you bought this house, but, y'all are not moving into this house. Y'all are buying this house with terms to sell it, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, so then that's just a risk you just have to assume and take, because this is business, and in business, there's risk. I guess that's all I'm saying. I mean, what do you think, Andrew? Can you hear me?
I don't have any real problems. It sounds like it's a matter of due diligence. So again, I think we've kind of talked this subject out. I think we have a general concern that, for the average buyer, say who plans on living there, that they certainly get the information that they sounds like it's really on their shoulders to do that. that said, I'm hoping that we can move forward with this one and give Mr.
And that whole
Kinski
thing.
like 90 days. Or sorry, that's 3 months to report back to us.
I'll second that.
I would support that as well. I feel bad for someone who just came into this property last month, and this is sprung on them. And it does sound like there's an intent to renovate this home and fix all the violations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll be all right. They're a builder. They'll be all right.
One other thing, there is a public portal on the city's website, and you can look up an address and find any pending code violations.
Okay. At the meeting, we will add that to our protocol. So going forward, we can, if we find another one that is in the situation, we can have a conversation before we even close on it.
Ready for the vote?
Yeah. Commissioner
So I
Bickerstaff?
heard a
Yeah,
motion and a second for a 90-day continuance.
Commissioner Bickerstaff?
yes,
Commissioner Brown? Commissioner
Yes.
Brown? Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. So sir, this is going to be continued until the May 13th meeting.
Okay.
That's not the final hearing date. That's the next time we're going to check in. So hopefully you're well on your way or you have it completed by then. If you do have it completed, call up your inspector, and then you don't have to come before us if the inspector signs off on it.
Okay.
Otherwise, if there's delaying circumstances, come here, let us know what's happening.
Okay. Happy to. Thank you very much for your consideration and your time. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, sir. Our next case is 1316 West Florida Street.
Yes, so for 1316 West Florida Street, the date of initial inspection was September 12th, 2018. The hearing was October 9th, 2018. The order was issued on November 1st, 2018 and expired December 2nd, 2018. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is requesting an order to repair, as the repair cost is 45% of the tax value. And I believe Ms. Nelson is on the call.
Thank you.
Ms. Nelson, would you please raise your right hand? You affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Welcome, Ms. Nelson.
Welcome.
I see we were last here, August of last year. What's been going on with this property since then?
Well,
Before we get to that, I just need to obtain her consent to a virtual meeting. Ma'am,
yes.
you have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you consent to this virtual meeting?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Nelson, you were last here in August of last year, and tell us what's been happening since then.
Well, I was told, I was doing work on the house and I was told to stop work because they was gonna come in and de-lead the house and don't do no more on the work on the house. So then I was also told that the people who do the lead, the whole program changed and it was gonna take them a minute to get it all situated and this, that, and the other. So I waited. Then they told me the first of the year they was coming in, they was gonna do the de-leading, do the paint and all that. And nothing never happened. COVID hit, nothing never happened. So I now started continuing the work. And I didn't know that they had put a sign on my house saying my house was condemned. And then somebody broke into my house right after that sign. I haven't had a problem with break-ins or anything until that sign was put on my house. I am now finishing up work that I needed to finish up. And that's where I'm at.
So city staff, is there anything that you can bring to light to the lead abatement situation?
So it's lead hazard reduction. This is Sonia, and it's lead hazard reduction. And she has been moved over because we received the new HUD lead grant. And per HUD rules, we had to do a closeout procedure, and we weren't able to continue with some of the ones that did not have contracts signed. So she has been moved over to our new lead grant process, which has not started up yet. We still have to go through the closeout process with our old lead grant.
Okay, city staff, were you made aware of this, or is this the first time you're hearing about it?
No, I knew that she had been moved over to our new lead grant.
I'm saying, did you make that aware to the inspections department so that way we can work? The point I'm asking is while the case is being continued, I do believe a couple meetings back we discussed as a commission that if there's cases that are in limbo, that are in programs that are being worked out, that some of those can be put to another ledger, so to speak, as they get approval or process, due to the fact that it's not the fault of the homeowner or the owner in this case, as they're trying to move forward on the process. So she's not supposed to be doing any work, so we really can't expect her to be doing any work. And right now, like you said, she's being ported into a new program, which is going to take some time. So I was just wondering if you had worked with the other department to help, kind of mitigate the process so that, we're not bringing people in front of the commission that really don't have an answer, and we don't have an answer until the process is sorted.
All right, I understand what you're saying. I know that her last case, I think, was done back in August.
Yeah.
Right. And so honestly, I can't speak on that because I was not working with the city back in August, and I started mid-September. And so I did let during our agenda meeting that we had, know that this is one that has moved over to our new lead grant. So in regards to what has happened in between that period from when I started working in her last case, I'm not sure what the communication that was had.
Yes, so in this case here, Commissioner Brown, the rehab team and the lead team has been combined into code compliance, which formed the community improvement division. And with this case here, you are correct. We are moving any properties in which a rehab application has been filed, or a rehab application has been approved, or has moved to construction phase, to a different ledger, so that we don't send those cases to the commission until we reach a point to where the owner is simply failing to comply with the inspector's order. Because you are correct, any holdups on the rehab or lead side is not a fault of the owner. What we cannot do at this time is any cases that have already arrived at the commission, we do not have the ability to pull those back out. So we basically have those, we're tracking those to the side and providing them with rehab and lead services. So in cases such as this, we as staff would certainly ask that you not uphold the decision, but simply allow the continuance so that the rehab efforts can be afforded to Ms. Nelson.
I definitely understand. And, I guess I take this to the other commissioners. I was thinking about, I don't know, maybe Andrew can chime in, but maybe we can put together a list of houses that are on this ledger that are being moved, so that in the sake of time, we're not, we are not revisiting the same cases multiple times, for the simple fact that we already know that it's going to get continued. We already know that it's in the program, and that the owner is doing their due diligence and trying to get the ball and get everything fixed to get back into compliance. So maybe it's just easier if we have like 4 or 5 on a list that we can just at one fell swoop make a motion, carry the motion, and vote through it. You kind of see what I'm getting at?
What we could do, Commissioner Brown, would be on your agenda. We can add another section at the very
Yeah.
end, which would be a rehab update, and provide quarterly updates on anything that is in rehab that's currently sitting on your agenda. And then as a standard, and it would be there for an FYI only. And
Right.
then as a standard, if we need the assistance of the commission, then we would simply move it from the rehab line up to the continued cases and ask that you begin to communicate with the owner at that time. Otherwise, the rehab section on your agenda would be FYI, and that would be only the cases that are currently sitting with the commission that have an active application or awaiting construction and rehab. Does that sound like what you're asking?
That's exactly what I'm looking at.
We'll work that out for you. Yeah, we'll get that on the agenda.
So just a quick question, are there any other listings today that fall into that same category? Or is it just this one, item 6, 1316 West Florida?
It's just this one today.
Yeah, there's only one rehab case.
Just that one.
So seeing all these facts and seeing that it's in the rehab program or has an application, are there any motions on the floor?
I'd like to make a motion that we continue it 90 days to see where it's at. I have a hunch that it's going to be out there for a while. Better yet, before I make this motion, city staff who's over that, not Troy's department, well, I guess y'all in the same department. What is the average length of time right now on your new HUD grant, and what's moving on? Like, when do you think you'll get started on this young lady's house?
So right now, our in-house inspections and our in-house services have been suspended due to the COVID cases. So that suspension is supposed to go through February 15th. So anything that we do in the house cannot happen until after that. So starting February 16th is when we'll be able to start going out to houses again, unless the suspension is still extended. I'll say I can't really speak on the past, but what we have worked through is we're in the process of changing our procedures to make sure that we are trying to do them in less than 90 days, so 90 days or less. So that is what we're working through right now.
Also,
Brown.
is Miss Nelson still accruing any civil penalties? She's up
Yeah.
to like, I can't read it, but 2,880?
Yes. I still am.
So will she continue to accrue civil penalties?
I mean, I think this is a good time to go ahead on and suspend her civil penalty accruement if it's not at a fault of her own. Is she still accruing, Troy?
Somebody else would have to speak on that. I don't, Troy.
Yes, the civil penalties are accruing. The reason they're accruing is when a property is condemned by the inspector and it moves to the housing commission, it begins its accrual by the city ordinance.
Gotcha. Is there any way you can earmark her file to show that what's going on with her and where her accrual is? I think that's fair. That we need to have a place in her file that states on such a date, you know, we were unable to do something due to the fact of COVID and the fact that the HUD grant has changed.
Right, a case note can be placed in that file.
We'd like to be able to do that. So that way, yeah.
One of the things that I would ask if you are wanting us to add this to the end of your agenda is not necessarily provide a continuance in the form of a motion today, because what's going to happen is if you continue for 90 days, staff is going to be obligated to place this case back on for you to hear in 90 days. Instead, if you would like to place a motion asking us to create a rehab section at the end of your agenda so that we can list updates on rehab cases quarterly.
I think that's a great
And
idea.
if you do that, that'll be direction from the commission, and we won't have to put any other continued cases on. We'll just simply slide those over. And if you ever have a question about a rehab case, it'll be there. And just for future reference, cases that are rehab or we can identify the need prior to commission referral, then we will do that and keep them from coming into the commission, which means that will keep a civil penalty from starting. And that's the whole purpose, is that if it's in rehab, they're not accruing a civil penalty in rehab.
Good. I feel like this is a good thing that we're moving forward on. I'm kind of sad that we haven't thought about this earlier, but I'm glad that we're thinking about it now. And what is the motion that we need to make to be able to begin this process?
That we place all rehab cases at the end of the agenda to provide quarterly updates to the commission, and that we not
I'd like to
move
make a
those
motion
on
that
to the.
I'd like to make a motion that we move all, whatever Troy just said, to the end of the agenda, and to not create. Yeah, you want to say it again slowly, Troy.
Yeah, so
Just
all
to be
we would,
clear, Quentin, is this an amendment of your previous motion, I think?
It is an amendment of my previous motion, yes.
so the request would be, any cases that become rehab eligible, instead of placing them on your agenda for action, you're asking us to place them under a rehab category at the end of your agenda so that you can see updates as it travels through the rehab program. Once rehab,
Do I have to say that verbatim, or can it just be translated to what he just said, Jasmine?
the court reporter should have already translated it if you accept it.
Yeah, I'll definitely adopt that as my motion.
And I think I'll summarize that motion as removing the cases in city rehabilitation programs be notated separately on our agendas and be updated in a quarterly manner rather than a monthly manner. Is that fair?
It is, and it would never need an action of the commission. It is there for FYI.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion in a second. All those in favor, we'll do the roll call vote.
Commissioner Biggerstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yeah.
Chair Escoff.
All right.
And I just want to say, Ms. Nelson, I don't know if you followed everything that we're saying, but it's basically trying to make your situation easier so you don't have to go through all this stuff, and maybe it'll save you some dollars.
You got that, Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
All right.
So that passes unanimously, and I understand that case will be taken off of today's docket for that reason. Is that correct, city staff?
It will be for next month.
Okay.
It'll start to appear in the rehab section.
Thank you. So, ma'am, what that means is keep working with the rehab folks, keep working with the city. They're gonna keep us updated about this, and
Okay.
we'll see you if we need to see you. But otherwise, what we're doing right now is saying if you're working with the city on the rehab program, you don't need to be coming for us all the times like other people.
Okay.
All right, Ms.
So-
Nelson, hopefully that will help you. Hopefully that'll work good for your schedule. And I apologize that we didn't think about this previous, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Next up, we have 3020 Royalton Drive.
Yes, so for 3020 Royalton Drive, the date of initial inspection was February 16th, 2018. The hearing was April 17th, 2018. The order was issued on April 30th, 2018 and expired May 29th, 2018. The property did have to be secure. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. We are seeking an order to repair, as a repair cost is 13% of the tax value. And I believe the Crandalls are on the call.
We are.
We are.
Welcome. We'll get you sworn in.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Ms. Crandall. Would you please
Good
raise
afternoon.
your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony given the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. President.
Thank you. So I see y'all were before us last September was the last time. What's been happening with the property since then?
I'm sorry,
Chairman.
Chair, I have to obtain their consent.
Oh, my apologies. Yes.
Sir, ma'am, you have a right to an in-person hearing. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we're able to have an in-person hearing. And if you choose to do that, the commission will not make any findings against you or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and monthly inspection fees. With that said, sir, do you consent to participating in this virtual meeting?
Yes, we do.
And ma'am, do you consent?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you both. So y'all were last before us in September. What's been happening since then?
Okay, we had all the trimming on the outside replaced, and we had new gutters put on outside. It was $6,000 something worth of work we had done on the outside. And then due to the fact that my mother passed away, her mother passed away, we got hung up on some different things. And we're trying to get back on track to get the other things that been asked of us to do. So that's where we stand at the moment.
And I see last time we met, y'all were looking at hiring contractors, and that hadn't happened yet. Where do we stand on that?
I got a quick question. Y'all didn't do this $6,000 worth of work yourself, did you? No, we did not. So that would mean that you had a contractor do it, correct? That is
That is correct.
All right. So I just want to put out there for the chair, judging from the fact that these are senior citizens, I'm pretty sure they got a contractor to be able to do that $6,000 worth of work. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, yep, Quentin, that's the exact question I was asking.
Good. I'm sorry for y'all's troubles there. When do y'all think you're going to be able to get it done?
Well, I guess the last little bit, things inside, and have to try to find somebody to do that will go inside. And with us being in Charlotte, it's kind of, we just have to get back to Greensboro to get someone to do the last little bit in the inside.
I got a question for city staff. Per our last meeting per one of the meetings we had where we're dealing with that house, I want to say on MLK, that is a historical property. What was the amount of time that we allotted that individual? Troy, is there any way you can refresh that before we go any further? What was the amount of time that we gave to that individual to come back?
I believe it was 6 months.
It was 6 months,
Okay.
I believe. And under the rules of the Housing Commission, you are allowed to treat a historic property different than you treat regular properties. That's written in the ordinance.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe we should and maybe talk about amongst commissioners. I know one of the commissioners is alternate is new. We've been dealing with a house that's been around for I want to say how long has that house been in front of the commission, Troy?
The historical one?
Yeah. There's a house, historical, whatever.
Are you talking about
say-
Mr. Marple's house?
Yeah. I'm talking about the house the only historical one we got that's been on the board for a long time.
The one that Mr. Marple has been coming at with us.
Right.
Okay.
Was that 8 years maybe?
8 years. So that being the case, using Mr. Marple's house, even if we went to half of that, let's say it's only been on for 4 years, I'd like to make a motion that we grant them 6 months because on my grounds is we gave him 6 months. And it would not be fair to give someone else less time and they're doing more active work than he is because he's still stuck on something. He's stuck on something, but he's stuck. So that, I don't know. Andrew, what you think?
Yeah, so for the owners, you all think you can get this thing wrapped up in how many months' time? You think 6 months would be okay for Mr. and Mrs. Crandall?
We think so. We've been to Charlotte a few times, to Greensboro, and we're hesitant to meet with people who don't wear masks. So, we're elderly, and we're hoping that COVID will end soon, and we're signed up to get our vaccines, and we'll feel more comfortable getting out, meeting with people. So that's been some of it. And like I said, my husband's mother died in October, then my mother died unexpectedly in December, and we've just been on a pause.
Yes, ma'am, I certainly understand that. Based upon what you're saying, I got no problems with that. Like 6 months sounds good. If Chairman Brown was making a motion, I would second it.
I'll make a motion that we give him 6 months on the grounds that we gave that other guy 6 months.
Mr. Brown, the motion would be based on their particular circumstances. They've had some
Okay, no problem.
COVID-related.
I'd like to make a motion that there's COVID-related circumstances and we give these people 6 months. How
I'll
about
second
that?
that.
Okay? Seconded. Let's take it to the vote.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question.
Commissioner Biggerstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Chair Isikoff.
Yes. That passes unanimously. Mr. and Mrs. Crandall, thank you for being here. What we're doing is we're giving y'all 6 months to work with contractors, try to get this resolved. If for some reason it can't be done within 6 months, please come back here and let us know, because that's not the ultimate final date. That's just the next check-in date.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And if you do finish before August, please let your inspector know, because they'll close your case out so you don't have to come back in front of us.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Our next case is 916 Silver Avenue.
Um, 916 Silver Avenue. The date of initial inspection was March 10th, 2020. The hearing was March 23rd. The order was issued May 11th, 2020 and expired June 11th of 20. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is seeking an order to demolish, as the repair cost is 246% of the tax value. I'm not sure that the Nolasco family is on this call.
Do we have anyone here for 916 Silver Avenue?
Mr. Williams, have you been in contact with the owners?
Yes, ma'am, I have. The last time that I was in contact with the owner and her son was, I'd say about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The owner, the mom had to leave town. I think she said she had to leave the country due to some COVID-related issues with some relatives. I have been trying to reach out to them and I have not heard back from them. So I don't know whether the health situation within the family has changed for the better or for the worse, but I have reached out to them.
And my understanding is without their consent to have a virtual session, we would have to take this off the docket.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Sheffield was, okay. Were you gonna say something? That's what you were gonna say. Okay, yes, so we'll just move on to the next case.
Next.
We'll take 916 Silver Avenue off due to non-consent. Next is 119 West Green Court.
So for 119 West Green Court, the date of initial inspection was May 25th, 2018. The hearing was June 26, 2018. The order to repair was issued June 26, 2018 and expired July 26, 2018. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is not a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is seeking an order to repair. The repair costs are 8% of the tax value. And I know Mr. Jones is on the call.
Get him sworn in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, excuse me, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed, Ms. Pressa.
Sir, you have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you consent to this virtual meeting?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. You were last in front of us in November. What's been happening since
We have basically finished up on the house. Mr. Rustin will tell you that we had our final electrical inspection yesterday and it passed. I should be getting a final plumbing inspection today or tomorrow. I fully expect that to pass. And next week, I plan on calling for the final building inspection. And hopefully, no offense, I hope to not see you people again.
I take no offense at that, sir. And Mr. Rustin, can we confirm that electrical cleared?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Mr. Jones, but the plumbing permit did not pass today. So I'm hoping that inspector will reach out to you. But yes, your electrical permit did pass. Literally, I'm just waiting. The only thing, as you can see from that video, literally the only item I have remaining besides his 2 permits is that he still just needs to put the numbers on the house, on the front porch. That is literally it. And I think they were just waiting for that paint to be completely done. And so, but I can confirm that yes, the electrical permit did final yesterday. However, there is one issue with this plumbing permit that I'm sure he'll get a phone call about.
My wife will call that plumber because he's a high school friend and she will lay into him.
Would 30 days be enough to get all these last steps resolved?
I expect so, sir, yes.
Okay. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, if you could at least make it 60 days so we hit the next cycle.
I'll make a motion then for a continuance until April 8th, which would be 60 days.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Ready for the question.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. Sir, so what that means is your case has been continued till April 8th. If you finish beforehand, which it sounds like you very likely will, just call up Mr. Rustin. If he lets us know that everything's taken care
You
of,
set the temperature
you don't
too.
need to come back
Huh?
here.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wait, it's got a time delay.
Next up, we've got 1-5 Avalon Road.
Yes, so for 1205 Avalon Road, the date of initial inspection was September 30th, 2019. The date of the hearing was September 8th, 2020. The order to demolish was issued on September 8th, 2020 and expired October 4th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is seeking an order or requesting an order to demolish, as the repair costs are 85% of the tax value. And Mr. Botello Lopez should be, if he's not on the call, he should be logging in right now or any minute.
He is. I just let him in.
Mr. Botello Lopez, are you present?
I just asked him to unmute. There
Yes,
you go.
that's me.
Mr. Botello Lopez,
Uh-huh.
we'll go ahead and get you sworn in.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed, Ms. Pressa.
Sir, you have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you consent to this virtual meeting?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. And I see you were last here, last meeting before us, and this was a property that you had acquired relatively recently. And like another case today, you were not told about the Housing Commission proceedings. Is that?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've since been informed, and tell us what you've been doing about that.
Well, like I was telling Mr. Gerard about about my plan is just to keep up with that and fix it as soon as possible. And I know, well, now I know what everything is going on right now. So I think I want to ask you all for 2 months, and then I get the property in shape, and then we proceed with the fines and all the stuff.
And do you have a copy of the violation report?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I do have a copy of that, and I also have a list of all them things they need to be fixed or done.
And are you doing this work yourself, or are you working with a contractor, or?
I am doing pretty much everything myself. Whatever needs to be inspected, I will hire someone, whatever it needs, license-wise.
Mm-hmm. And if there's electrical or plumbing, I think you would need a contractor. I'll defer to city staff on what permits are required, but I appreciate you taking care of this property and addressing the issues that were found.
Well, I'm fixing some, I mean, a lot of the stuff already, and I doesn't mess with any electrical or plumbing just to avoid the inspection, just to avoid full permit just for something minor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in case that I gotta mess with some of that, I will get the permits that I need to keep everything straight.
Mr. Sheffield, did you have something to add? No, okay, never mind.
Are you in touch, sir, with Mr. LaRue, your inspector?
The what? Are
you in touch with Mr. It's listed here that Jared LaRue is your inspector?
Yes, I am. He been calling me, and I've been calling him whenever I got some doubts or stuff. Yeah, he's the one that gave me the list of all them, the list of that I need to fix.
Wonderful. Well, please stay in touch with him because he's your main contact working through this process. And when he says violations have been fixed, that's when we close out this case.
Okay.
So you were saying 2 months about?
Yes, I will ask for 2 months just to
I would
be safe.
I would like to say that, just to be on the safe side, Right now, we got to keep it within 60 days to keep it within cycle. Should we do a 90-day one? Just to be on the safe side, so that way it
Yeah,
gives him a
yeah,
little bit
yeah.
of a
Yeah,
cushion in case he's had
that's
some
perfect.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
I'd
I'd
support
make a
that. I'd
motion that we
second
rock
that.
with 90 days. And then, I make my motion 90 days. Andrew, what you think?
I would second the motion, 90 days.
Okay.
So we
All
have a
right.
motion and I think several seconds. Let's call the question on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Chair Isikoff.
Yes. Mr. Bateo Lopez, what that means is your case has been continued until May 13th.
Okay.
If you finish before then, which it sounds like you might, if you only need 2 months, we're giving you a little bit of a buffer here. Let Mr. LaRue know. And if he comes out and inspects and says everything's fixed, you don't need to come back in front of us.
Okay.
So just
All right.
stay
So
in touch.
that
with
sounds
him. Yeah.
okay.
Good. Fans
And I
on.
appreciate everything you're doing with that property.
I thank you so much. Thank you for the help.
Thank you. Next up, we have 2204 South Bimbo Road.
If I could ask, please, the owner of Bimbo Road is going to be logging in momentarily. If we could put him on hold and go to number 12, Marshall Street, if that is acceptable.
I see no problem with that. Commissioners, any problem with that? Seeing none, we'll go to 218 Marshall Street.
So for 218 Marshall Street, the date of initial inspection was May 20th, 2020. The date of the hearing was June 16th, 2020. The order to demolish was issued June 16th, 2020 and expired July 16th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is not a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The city is seeking a order to demolish as the repair costs are 126% of the tax value. And I know we have, I think, Charlie on the call.
Yes, good day, everyone.
Mr. Chairman, you have 2 people to be heard on this case. You have Charlie as the owner of the property. You also have Gina Uresti from the Housing Coalition.
Thank you. We'll start with the property owner, Mr. Charlie. We'll get you sworn in and our city attorney has some questions for you.
Charlie, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, Charlie Abdallah with SNS
Okay.
Investment of the Triad.
All right. Do you affirm that the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa?
Sir, you have a right to an in-person hearing regarding the code violations on your property. If you choose to have an in-person hearing, the case will be postponed until such time that we are able to conduct in-person hearings. During that period, the commission will not make any findings regarding the property or issue any orders against you. However, you will continue to accrue civil penalties and reinspection fees for monthly safety inspections. Do you consent to this virtual meeting?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Sir, let us know what's going on with this property.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, Chair.
Sorry.
I believe there was another person that although she's not the owner, she's here on behalf of the, the Housing Coalition.
Yes, Housing Coalition. She needs to be sworn
If we
in.
could get her sworn in, and then I have a couple of questions for the inspector, as this is a new case.
Certainly. Ms. Uresti, would you please state your name for the record?
Gina Uresti?
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Pressa.
Mr. Logan, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this video a fair and accurate depiction of the property?
Yes.
What was the date of the last inspection?
Last inspection was actually exterior was today.
Is this a single unit or multi-unit dwelling?
Yes.
Were the parties of interest properly served with notice of this hearing?
Yes.
Are there more than 5 minor types of violations or 1 major violation of the minimum housing code?
Yes.
Please read the violations into the record.
Yes. The hanging and displaying of saleable goods and other decorative materials from acoustical ceiling systems that are a part of a fire-resistant rating horizontal assembly shall be prohibited. Exterior doors, door assemblies, operator systems, if provided, and hardware shall be maintained in good condition. Locks at all entrances to dwelling units and sleeping units shall tightly secure the door. Locks on means of egress door shall be in accordance with section 702.3. Electrical switches and fixtures, including furnace, water heating, security system, and power distribution circuits that have been exposed to fire shall be replaced in accordance with the provisions of the International Building Code. Electrical distribution equipment, motor circuits, power equipment, transformers, wire, cable, flexible cords, wiring devices, ground fault circuit interrupters, surge protectors, molded case circuit breakers, low voltage fuses, luminaries, ballast, motors, and electronic control, signaling and communication equipment that have been exposed to water shall be replaced in accordance with the provisions of the International Building Code. Where it is found that the electrical system is in a structure constitutes a hazard to the occupants or the structure by reason of inadequate service, improper fusing, insufficient receptacle and lighting outlets, improper wiring or installation, deterioration or damage, or for similar reasons, the code official shall require the defects to be corrected to eliminate the hazard. Exterior walls shall be free from holes, breaks, and loose or rotting materials and maintained weatherproof and properly surface coated where required to prevent deterioration. Structural members shall be maintained free from deterioration and shall be capable of safely supporting the opposed dead and live loads. During the period from certain dates, every door, window, and or other outside opening required for ventilation of habitable rooms, food preparation areas, food service areas, or any areas where products to be included or utilized in food for human consumption or process, manufactured, packaged, or stored shall be supplied with approved tightly fitting screens of minimum 16 mesh per inch, and every screen door used for insect control shall have a self-closing device in good working condition. Interior surfaces, including windows and doors, shall be maintained in good, clean, and sanitary condition. Peeling, chipping, flaking, or abraded paint shall be repaired, removed, or covered. Cracked or loose plaster, decayed wood, and other defective surfaces conditions shall be corrected. Keep all required plumbing and other fixtures in a clean and sanitary condition, and exercise reasonable care in the use and operation thereof. Every habitable space in the dwelling shall contain not less than 2 separate and remote receptacles, outlets. Every laundry area shall contain not less than 1 grounding type receptacle or receptacle with a ground fault circuit interrupter. Every bathroom shall contain not less than 1 receptacle. Any new bathroom receptacle outlet shall have ground fault circuit interrupter protection. All receptacle outlets shall have the appropriate faceplate cover for the location. The roof and flashing shall be sound tight and not have defects that admit rain. Roof drainage shall be adequate to prevent dampness or deterioration in the walls or interior portion of the structure. Roof drains, gutters, and downspouts shall be maintained in good repair and free from obstructions. Roof water shall not be discharged in a manner that creates a public nuisance. Single and multi-station smoke alarms shall be tested and maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Smoke alarms that do not function shall be replaced. Smoke alarms installed in 1 and 2 family dwellings shall be replaced not more than 10 years from the date of manufacture marked on the unit, or shall be replaced if the date of manufacture cannot be determined. Flooring and flooring components with defects that affect serviceability or flooring components that show signs of deterioration or fatigue are not properly anchored or are incapable of supporting all nominal loads and resisting all load effects. Every window, skylight, door, and frame shall be kept in sound condition, good repair, and weather tight. That is all.
Thank you. Sir, you just heard all the violations that were listed. This is your first time before us. Tell us what your intention is with this property.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that list, when he's going through a list like that, sounds pretty scary and long, but those are just the points and stuff that, I guess how they're documented in the code book and whatnot. But the majority, I'm very familiar with, several houses in Greensboro from the city, and we know exactly what you guys are looking for. Everything on the inside of the house has been completed. Smoke detectors. I guess when we purchased, well, I guess we can go back to when we first purchased the building. The house was January 11th, so we were not aware that there was a code compliance issue, but that's not a problem at all. We'll definitely take care of that, make sure everyone's happy there. The tenant left some stuff inside the house, and but all that's been taken care of. The flooring guys have put new flooring in, and the smoke detectors, it's been painted. All the chip paint, all that stuff is gone. Now, the only thing, I guess, I spoke with, I've been in communication with Mr. Rustin several times, and we've just missed each other a couple of times, and we have an inspection, hopefully our final inspection this coming Tuesday. He came and inspected today, this morning, and showed me a few small minor stuff that I need to get, such as elbows for the gutters, and put screens on the outside windows, and repair a window that has a crack in it. But other than that, I believe everything has been taken care of.
Thank you. And I'd just like to confirm with Mr. Rustin, it sounds like there's just some minor miscellaneous stuff left to be fixed.
Yes, sir. I actually just spoke with Charlie right before the meeting started because we were having some issues trying to do a virtual inspection this week. We kind of got our wires crossed a little bit. And so we have scheduled a virtual due to the COVID restriction right now. We have scheduled a virtual interior inspection for Tuesday at noon. But I did, like I said, I did go by today and walk around the outside of the house, and he only has, like you said, the minor things on the outside. But we have scheduled for that interior virtual inspection. And the minute they stepped in, if you remember correctly, they purchased this house 2 days before it was supposed to be heard last month from the original owner. And so this is his first time here, but they immediately started the repairs, and they've had crews on scene when I've driven by in the area for other calls this whole time. So I have no doubt that the repairs are possibly completed once we do our inspection next Tuesday.
Would 2 months, in your opinion, be a reasonable time frame to finish up everything?
That's too much time. I just need, worst case scenario, 1 week.
I've never had someone come in front of me and say that's too much time.
Right?
No, that's too much time.
I appreciate that, sir. Commissioners?
I understand you have to give a motion for 30 to 60 days. I do feel that it will be completed possibly within the next week.
Mm-hmm. Commissioners, I'd support 30, 60. It sounds like this is going to get resolved. What are your thoughts?
I'd like to ask Troy if we still need to go out 2 months, or in a case like this, could we just say 1 month? What do you recommend?
Fine with me.
If you want to do 30 days, that's fine. He said it'd be done in a week. All we're going to do is we're going to put it on for withdrawal if it's completed.
Gotcha.
So that would be to the March 11th meeting?
Yes. And I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Biggerstaff. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Multiple seconds. Thank you both. We'll call the question on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. So that passes unanimously. Sir, this is continued till March 11th. If you finish before then, which it sounds like you're gonna, just let your inspector know, and then you don't have to come back here.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I believe this is also the case. Did the Housing Coalition person get to speak?
Oh, my apologies. And I realize we took a vote. We can always move to amend.
It's fine. We just wanted to go ahead and mention, I know it was on there for last month, and we had moved a tenant out in December of 2020. So we just wanted to make sure that we did realize that somebody had purchased it a couple of days before the hearing last month, but we just wanted to make sure that whoever was the new owner was thinking about doing the repairs and how quickly they would be done. Because like as I mentioned before, we moved a single mom with two children as of December of last year.
Gina, this is
Thank you.
Carolyn. I just want to say thanks for all you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you as well for everything that you all everybody's doing, and especially for letting us, come on here and speak on certain addresses, and also pushing for all these homes to be repaired as soon as possible, because it is a huge need, especially to the community that we serve.
Well, we really appreciate all you're doing. We know you're all going crazy during COVID time, and we need you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add into that too. If there's anything that we can do, this house is ready. I'm not sure what exactly was the situation of the single mom that moved out, but if there's any way that I or my company can help, I mean, just let us know. We have houses throughout Greensboro. I mean, if there's anything we can do to help or help this family, just let me know.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you both. I appreciate both of y'all speaking. So this was continued till March 11th. Our last case, circling back to item 11-2204 South Bimbo Road.
I know the owner has not logged on, and he had told the inspector he would be. So
We can withdraw it, Mr. Chairman.
Given that we don't have consent for a virtual meeting, we'll take that off the docket. Lastly, we have some withdrawals, items 13 through 17. Those are 715 Chavis Avenue, 301A Gant Street, 1108 Vance Street, 1911 McKnight Mill Road, and 1108 Vance Street, which I notice is on there twice. I think we just meant to have that on there.
yeah, that was our oversight. I apologize. I mean, that was our oversight.
No problem whatsoever. Are there any motions about the requested motions to withdraw?
I make a motion that we withdraw the items 13 through 16.
I'll second that. We have a motion in multiple seconds. We'll call the question.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yeah, present.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. Yes. So that passes unanimously. Next, we have the request to rescind prior commission resolutions for demolition and repair. Items 18 through 23.
Hold on, you heard it running.
3930 Glendale Court, 906 Gregory Street, 2803 Phillips Avenue, 3808 Cameron Avenue, 803 East Bragg Street, and 1115 Vance Street. Are there any motions?
I make a motion to rescind items 18 to 23.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. That passes unanimously. That concludes our case docket for today. Is there any further business before the commission that any member of the public or any commissioner wants to bring up? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's call the question on that.
Commissioner Biggerstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Chair Isikoff.
Yes. That passes. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate having a quick meeting today and getting through things efficiently. Seeing that the motion to adjourn was passed unanimously, we are now adjourned.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You as well. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.